cultural, racial, de gênero e também entre espécies.
Então, vem cá, a luta antirracista tem na sua dimensão também a luta pela autonomia, pela liberdade, pela igualdade das mulheres.
Que o futuro traga a liberdade das tecnologias ancestrais.
Queremos um mundo para os humanos e suas futuras gerações e também para todos os seres não humanos que habitam a Terra.
O futuro da Amazônia depende muito da organização e da resistência da sociedade brasileira. Da organização e da resistência da sociedade brasileira.
Nós somos potência solidária.
Temos que nos juntar em torno dessa urgência ou teremos apenas um futuro hostil.
Um planeta devorado pelo capitalismo, corroído pela crise climática causada por um modo de produção incompatível com a vida.
Lançamos esse movimento porque não queremos ser abatidos como gado.
Seja no campo ou na cidade, queremos viver como floresta, em pé e lutar.
Fazer uma mobilização. Muita gente. Aí sim, ainda vou fazer. Se for só eu, não vou fazer nada. Nem eu e mais um.
Da vida, devagar e
É preciso estar sempre forte.
As ideias precisam circular. Imaginar é ato de resistência, é ação política. Imaginar o futuro já é começar a criá-lo. Imaginar o futuro já é começar a mudar o presente.
Imagine, posicione-se, liberte o futuro.
Produzir.
Liberte o futuro.
Liberte o futuro. Liberte o futuro. Libertem o futuro.
Então aí a história segue.
liberte o futuro.
Liberte o futuro.
Liberte o futuro.
Junte-se ao movimento de libertação do futuro.
That's a very powerful movement.
Okay, yes.
I wanted to show you this because of the many shiny, hopeful futures that you come across coming from YouTube and social media. They are not solarpunk really. They are what I call them solarprank, a kind of trick, a kind of joke. The usual appropriation of the global north of all the movements that come from the global south, to try to normalize it, standardize it, in a way make it something like a new product. And in many countries in the north, the Solarpunk is being greenwashed. Greenwashed is this idea of painting something nice, shiny, green, and make it more like sustainable in a way. In Italy, there is this famous building called Bosco Verticale, the vertical forest in Milan. You probably have come across it. It's a skyscraper, probably 25 stories, and it's all green with this vegetation. The only problem, it costs 15,000 euros for a square meter. So that's not really inclusive. That's the kind of future that only the rich can afford. And I've been to many countries. I've been to China, I've been to India, I've been to Peru, Croatia, Bulgaria, Sweden, Norway, Finland, France, Portugal, and I have been trying to promote this idea that solarpunk is not shiny. Solarpunk is dirty. Solarpunk comes from the movements, comes from the bottom, comes from the low tech, comes from people making use of the local wisdom to try to resist this big new hyper-modern projects like, I don't know if you heard about the Line, a project that they're trying to make in Saudi Arabia, and they call it like sustainable projects. There's nothing sustainable about that. It's just a black hole, a sink of energy that is being poured into this project. Instead, Solarpъnk is about using the wisdom of the past. It's about using what we know now and what we can do with the tools that we can develop locally, instead of always having to pay copyright or having to pay a fee for using, for example, an artificial intelligence which is not open at all, even though somebody called it open AI. Okay? So it's not about a return to the wilderness, a return to the Arcadia, to the golden age where we all come from, but it's about trying to fight and trying to maneuver with social structures, with political influence, with the economic creativity, our own future, our own and desirable way to create welfare, not in the way that is being told us, more fridges, more TVs, more cars. No. This way of addressing wealth is something of the past. It's something that we keep hearing on TV, but if you go out of that bubble, it's not consistent. The real wealth is in this sort of sharing and appreciation of the diversities of the way we do things differently. But anyway, we get to the point. There's nothing right or wrong. There are local adaptations and there are local ways to solve the problems. In Hindi, they have a beautiful word for this. It's called jugaad. And jugaad means creative frugality. It means that you can fix your problems with the local creativity and the ways you can, maneuver and overcome the problems. As I was saying before, the globalized technology comes with an operating system that we don't fucking know nothing about. We don't know who wrote that, even if it's in our language. But it has certain, let's say, hidden programming that we are not aware of. We become part of this. So with my friend Ilya, we sometimes talk about, is technology neutral? I sometimes doubt that, because I'll give you a very short example. If you take the number of people that are talking different languages, okay, China is the first Chinese language is spoken by a majority of people in the world. But if you go online, China disappeared. The first language becomes English. That means that according to the technology that you use, if you use your tongue, Chinese is the first spoken language. If you use a keyboard, English becomes the first language. So it is not really neutral, because who creates the technology creates the power to use it. And so that power shapes our imagination. That power shapes the possibilities that we have to use that technology. So it's important that we appropriate these ways of making the tools. The system wants us to be consumers, users. If you're old enough to remember how to open a PC and change the cards, and change the themes, and change the artists, and change the case, and you are the owner of the object because you can change it. What can I change here? Nothing. I throw it away and I am reduced to a consumer. I don't want to be that. I want to be a producer and a consumer, which is called a prosumer. That means that Solarpъnk gives you the tools to open up your objects and create your own objects. There's a beautiful website called Apropedia, which is the Wikipedia of Solarpъnk, and they tell you how to build your solar panel, how to create a desalinator if you need to have clean water, how to create electricity in many different ways. And I think that is a very Solarpъnk tool. Sharing wisdom together without a centralized vendor that tells you, okay, you have to pay me a copyright for this. No. Knowledge is incremental. That means that the phenomenon that is stopping knowledge at the moment is capitalism. Because if he knows something and I know something and we work together, we have a win-win situation. And that's why I believe that that book, Solarpъnk, which has been translated in Chinese, has been translated in English, and was originally made by myself in Italian, is getting to Bulgaria. And I'm very happy because you can have an alternative to the current nihilistic, cynical, dystopic, post-apocalyptic way of telling stories. You can choose. You can choose something different, and it will be up to you. And I think that the future is just about giving people a choice.
Yeah, this is very important points by Mr. Francesco. Sorry. Yeah, Francesco. Yeah, like we met with Francesco 2 years ago. 2 years ago in Plovdiv in Bulgaria, 2023, and like he was making an introduction towards Solarpъnk. And I'm listening to introduction, and I'm saying, well, okay, man, like I'm Solarpъnk, I guess. I'm Solarpъnk, I guess. Because back in that time, I was already kind of like beginning to finish, but I had like a second job. I was doing solar installation as like a small business with some friends. We were doing like little houses, making them like a little bit more sustainable, a little bit more eco-friendly, you know. Yeah, of course, we did this for money. Of course. But yeah, I don't know. We were always working with friends. Sometimes you work with this guy, sometimes with another guy. There is not one single installation we did that we did with the same team. It was always, and of course, if you have completely different team, like every time, it's total chaos. So like total chaos, a little bit like here now, but no worries. But yeah, I mean, I was doing this not because I wanted, you know, like to be like to save the planet and everything. I wanted to make some money. Maybe help a little bit with the planet. Like solar power is very important. It's a good step forward, but this is not the only solution. There are many other solutions to address the problems of modernity. So energy is one of the most important, of course, and. But yeah, like as Francesco said, like you can have, like maybe if you don't have access to clean water, there are like free sketches, free project where you can make yourself a desalinator, or maybe you can make yourself a system to catch water, to catch rain. It's not very difficult. You just have to reroute your gutter. Thank you very much. You just have to reroute your gutter into like a big piece of reservoir, and you have clean water. No problem. You don't need to go to buy water with plastic, which is like bottled plastic, you know. Yeah. This is one of the solutions. Many solutions. Also, you can grow your own food. It's not that difficult. I'm sure there are plans. Like I invited this guy, and here I must mention we had a wonderful discussion in Fabrica Autonomia in Sofia, with Mr. Dimitar Rykov and with Drake Vato. Sadly, they couldn't attend today. But like there was this guy Emmanuel, like he couldn't attend either. Like he was some kind of he was a biologist. He was growing mushrooms, man, mushrooms in home, like edible mushrooms. Like maybe you can do an automated system to grow mushrooms. It's not that difficult. Maybe you can find projects online and build it yourself. Why not, man? Why not? Why should you go? Just do it as a hobby project, man. Maybe you will have much tastier mushrooms in your food, like free of toxins, free of everything. And this is just one example. What I'm trying to say is the following. And I will go back to energy. Like there are many things that can be done. Many things that can be done that we can achieve a bright future, totally bright future.
I want to make it. Okay.
Yeah. Just 1 sentence. Like I will tell you this, guys. Like I read about a project made by some independent researchers, installing solar power on the roof of our capital, Sofia. So on the free roof, I'm saying the free roofs of Sofia, you can install 800 megawatts peak power of solar power. In comparison, I will tell you the following. Our largest solar power plant currently is 400 megawatt peak. And you can have 800 megawatt peak at the roof. This is like energy is produced, energy is consumed. Like this not only has a positive eco effect, but also it can lower the prices of transmission lines.
The difference is centralization and decentralization, right?
Yeah. This is very important because for example, if let's say China, if Chairman Mao, Chairman Xi, like if Chairman Xi, no offense, he's a cool guy, man. Like if Chairman Xi says, okay guys, like for the next 5 years, for the next Petiletka, we need to have 800 megawatts in Beijing, and in the next 5 years they will have it. They will have it probably on the 4th year, or maybe in the 5th month. I'm not saying centralization is good. Like centralization in certain ways can help, in certain ways can be detrimental. But like now in Bulgaria, these 800 megawatts, it's very difficult to achieve them. We were discussing exactly this with Mr. Neil Clark yesterday. Because of like bad governance, bad laws, not too much incentives about this. Can you imagine? Plovdiv, 400 megawatts. I will tell you just one second. Sorry. So the total energy consumption of Bulgaria during the summer is 6 gigawatts. 6 gigawatts. You can have 0.8 gigawatts on the roofs of Sofia. So you can have like 1/6 at certain parts of the day. You can have 1/6 of our total energy supply on the roof of our city. Yeah, this is just Sofia. Like I'm not mentioning Plovdiv, Stara Zagora, Pazarjik, Burgas, Varna, and all the places. And these solar panels, they won't bother anyone. Like you won't even see them, guys. but they will be above you. They will be even an intensive just to fix your roof, because it's first fix your roof and then put solar panels. It's very easy. Yeah.
So how much it would cost? The question is how much it would cost to cover all the roofs of Sofia with solar panels, and why the roofs especially? Why not the build it in the field like they do?
There are many solutions. The first is probably you can already take that figure, how much it would cost, and compare it to how much you are currently paying for the electricity, and have a mortgage or have an investment to make that work. That would be possible. And of course, this is a long-term investment, so the state would not be, it would be involved, it would be interested in having these production. But probably there's something deeper, something about autonomy, and Solarpъnk is about autonomy and independence. And that's something that I was saying before. They or the system or the capitalism wants us to be connected to the structure of power, so that we are consumers, and that no matter what, you pay for oil, you pay for sun, you always pay. So there is no real improvement. You're always a consumer of the system. You always have to buy something. So that's the ultimate thing. Removing the options of your freedom. And I wanted to say something when you talked about making things. Making things are important because we come from the last generation, and I have a daughter of 17 years old, and they are not connected to the things. The detachment of our feelings and identity to the object has taken us from having the chair of our grandmother or the wardrobe of our grandfather that had an identity and had a feeling attached to it, and we were passing it from generation to generation because it had a value, okay? Because it was maybe made by someone with a name and a surname, to a generation that is throwing away models and models of chairs by IKEA or made up somewhere in the world and without any sort of emotional attachment to the things. Expand this experience of detachment to relationships, job, feelings, anything, and you have the problem of the current generation. This feeling of emptiness because they lost the knowledge of how to do things, how to develop their own stuff, and then they're left with this scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. This is a biopolitical strategy. It is a biopolitical strategy. It's like removing the chairs from the station. Right? I don't want people to stand, to lay down or to sit. They want them to stand. These are biopolitical tools, and we have to fight back with other biopolitical tools. That's the kind of contribution that Solarpъnk can give.
If I can answer your question, so like in this project it wasn't mentioned, but I will tell you, like one of my first project we did like a furniture factory. We did just 20 kilowatts of power. Like the project paid for itself in 3 years. In 3 years. So whatever the owner of the factory invested into the installation, the money returned to him on the 3rd year, and the installation will hopefully work for another 17 more. So like, and I also must mention, but I must look into it. Like this is in our hometown. This is the sports hall Heber. They made a complete solar roof plus plus insulation of the building. So let's say let's start small scale. You start with one sports hall. You see what is the benefit. Maybe you will save electricity. Maybe it will pay itself back, like the insulation, the solar roof, in 6 years. You make the calculations, and then you can expand the scale. Because when you expand the scale, like when you do not only one installation, but like 10 installation or 50 installation, like your price will fall down. Your price will fall down. And this is just one step. First step. Second step. Like Solarpъnk for me, it doesn't tell you to run. You don't need to run. Like first learn to walk. You know? Yeah.
I thought that's why, considering the roof as a main target, the roof as a main base for the solar panels, isn't that perspective, because roofs are private. Like roofs belong to the people from each building, and you need to convince every single habitant. Otherwise, if you build the field of the panels as they do, like on your proper land, which is much cheaper than the roofs of the Sofia, you could increase the scale of your production. You wouldn't depend on the agreement of the people, and you could compete with the current energy companies. So probably this would be the better way.
There are many ways. I want to tell you something different from the solar panels. Okay, in Holland, the Netherlands, I've seen what I call a wind turbine. Okay, is a how do you call it? Turbine. Turbine. Yes. Yeah. And instead of the traditional windmill goes like this. This is like a flower, and the wind make the petals spin.
Children's toy, just like a children's toy.
Yes, just like that. So it was very cool, because imagine if you put thousands of these smaller things, not the big windmill, you know, that we see. Thousands of these on the highways that are powered by the movement of the cars. So simple. Or along the tracks of the trains. We already have the infrastructure. We just put those 100,000, and it will be powered by the movement of machines.
But he was made and collaborate.
Oh yeah, Andrew is this guy is doing a lot of Solarpъnk solutions. So just to tell that, if you get into that mood of creating your own tools, you have very positive effects in general, and you will create things that probably, will create interesting inventions. This tulip is very cool, and my idea was also to put it on balconies, on terraces, on your bike. If it's something easy that you can plug and play and put it probably to power your telephone or power the devices that we use. In general, you reduce your dependency from the distributed energy coming from the grid.
Yeah, if I may add, how many of you guys have heard about balcon solar? Balcon solar, yeah.
We even see.
Yeah, balcon
on the
solar,
roof.
like you have your balcony, you just put on two solar panels, one inverter, you plug it in your socket, you install some defense. That's it, man. Maybe you save 5% of your energy, maybe 10%. But yeah, you have a balcony. You just put them and forget about them. No problem. Yeah, it's that easy. It's that easy. There are so many solutions.
That's important. It's the fact that Solarpъnk is focusing not on the problem like it was for Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk was mostly pointing correctly all the problems. But after 40 years of these narratives, people started to, okay, we destroy this planet, we destroy the towns, we damage everything. Let's start thinking about the solutions. So in the book, you will find a lot of, maybe smaller scale, but, inventive and creative solutions for the near future, for things that are probably coming and affecting your reality right now.
Yeah, also, like,
I have a question though, where first we're talking like about power, but this is not utilizing economy at scale. Because if you purchase a single solar panel that has an exposure for 2 hours and you buy an inverter, it's probably realistically that you will never recoup the energy cost from a single solar panel plus the inverter, because the inverter costs a lot and you have a very few hours of sun. That's why I liked actually your idea of the whole building having like a bigger inverter with solar panels, and not something that we have to agree everyone. I mean, the building is built by a single guy. He can actually put out solar panels and sell it, so it was an ecological building that is actually cost saving for all the inhabitants. And by the way, a comment about the wind turbines between the roads. I watched the video, it was probably a year ago or half, something like that. The main reason that people are not doing that is because the fuel economy of the passing cars drops because of the wind drag for some reason. And it's like you're paying in gas to spin the turbine near the road. That's the reason why they don't do it right now. But the idea, I liked it, it's just that's why it's not utilized.
Yeah, you're right, you're definitely right.
So it's like, how to say it, like you just try different ideas. Something will work, something will not work. We're not living in a perfect world. Like sometimes maybe something will break. Okay, you guys, the two of you.
I'll be quick. Kind of in relation to what you just mentioned. I've heard in some countries, as far as I know, in Ireland, but probably in other countries too. And Ireland is a country with not that much sunlight in general, but there are people, I have friends there who have solar panels, and in summer they get enough energy that they sell some of it to the local company or the state. I'm not sure exactly who owns it. That's important in the context of Francesco mentioned, but in any case, they basically sell some of that. That helps recoup some of the cost and also share the energy and reuse the existing grid. So that's another, detail in some form.
I have an important comment here for the guys that are actually thinking about building a solar farm or something like that. If you read about the legalese, you'll find out that if you overproduce electricity and you want to export it to the grid, you actually find out that you will have to pay the grid because you're oversupplying the grid, which, I mean, in the end, you could lose money. I'm just raising that as a concern because I think it's a valid point right now. But I totally support it for home use or personal use.
But that's something.
This is like legal release. Exactly. I know why they do it. I just want to give heads up to the guys because I don't want to lose their money.
So, Francesco, you briefly touched on this at the beginning with the greenwashing. My question is, how, in your view, the Solarpъnk prevents itself from being co-opted? Because famously, you have here this table comparing cyberpunk and Solarpъnk. So the cyberpunk itself, famously, was denounced by its own authors for being co-opted into the mainstream. You have here as tools blockchain, circular economy, 3D printing, etc., etc. All of these social networks now seem victims to co-opting. Even resilient communities, which was supposed to be the dream, is now, glampings and, known villages. And is it the case that that's inescapable to an extent? Because capitalism itself arose, it was left-wing of sorts in the beginning, right? Because it was a reaction against absolute power. Solarpunk itself was probably a reaction towards the chaotic time before that. So it would seem like any new way of social organization at some point gives way to elites and elitism. And is this where Solarpunk is headed, and then we have to come up with something else? Or
thank you. It's a wonderful question. Thank you very much. Yes, you traced the history of civilization and the struggle. So there is always a struggle. So for the people that are questioning, oh, but Solarpunk is so hopeful and there is no conflict. Yes, there is a conflict. And you mentioned the protagonists of these conflicts, which are always there. The risk is, of course, very high. As I already opened up with a different Solarpunk that is not the one from the global north, which is sometimes connected to cozy punk and hopeful punk. So let me tell you something. Hope is a privilege. Hoping that the children will go to school and will have a house. This sort of privilege come from the so-called West. Okay? And if you go outside of this bubble, you will see desperation. I've been to other countries exactly for this reason. Because as an Italian, I have some privileges. And I want to put these privileges to the need of other people. That's why I kind of stopped talking to the global north. Of course, I'm still in dialogue and conversation, but most of the time I spend it outside of the, let's say, privileged countries or privileged languages, okay? Just because I realized that there is a whole world outside, then there a fight is still going on. We don't see it much. A friend of mine, Cesar Santibanez, that took the mission of future fiction very closely and is now promoting Solarpunk in Latin America. He said something that struck me the other day. He said, we live a second-hand future. Because in these countries, everything is second-hand. The technology doesn't really work. The technology is not fit for them. The technology is made somewhere else, and it must be adapted, it must be changed. And that struck me because he felt immediately what it means to be Solarpunk today. It means to stay with the weak. Always take the side of the weak, whatever it is, whether it's the monarchy or the elite or whatever, I always stay with the weak part. And of course the problem will never end, but now I know my side and I try to do my best for that. Willie Gibson said, you know, oh yeah, when the Matrix came out, that was the end of, and it was 1989, if I remember, no, 1998. So we are more than 20 years into the death of cyberpunk, right? But we're still, if you go to China, cyberpunk is, you know, really cyberpunk, yeah. But they have a different sort of cyberpunk. They have a pure aesthetic of cyberpunk, completely removed from the political cyberpunk. Okay? It's even co-opted by the state. They have this very beautiful drone, you know, in the sky, and all they make it. That would be totally cyberpunk, but it's not. It's just a pure aesthetic. It's just, you know, fireworks. You know. I think that as I mentioned, with all these examples of Solarpunk, greenwashed futures, we have to be very careful because the shiny billboard will blind us with these things. Oh, that's cool, that's shiny. I'm sorry, but I will not say a very big company in China. Last year, they asked me to be a consultant for a game they were producing. And they said, okay, this is the concept, and we are developing this software, this video game, and basically the people are shooting animals. So you call it Solarpunk because they are kind of using, you know, futuristic powered weapons. I mean, please don't use the term solarpunk. You call it cyberpunk, call it ego fiction,
call it doom,
but the thing is that they want to, they need a marketing, they need a tag, you know, they need something.
That's a good word. Francesco, can just, that's a very good point. So I will.
No, this is much more important than that.
Don't worry. Everything is important.
It was something about human rights, about the...
Okay, guys. So also, like I will mention something very interesting because it's also for me. This is my strict opinion, like my opinion. Like it's not like obligatory for Solarpъnk to be individual. Maybe you can have a Solarpъnk mayor, man. Maybe you can have a Solarpъnk president. Like you have seen, like this is the city hall. The city hall. This building was built in the 70s. Like I recently watched a project in Great Britain, where they had a similar building, like from the 70s. Like they completely covered it in insulation and solar panels. And like the building sustains itself 20% or something, 25%, even in Great Britain where there is almost no sun, you know? And like, so they improved the quality of the air inside, like they made it 20%, excuse me, they made it 20% self-sustaining, and this was made by the mayor. So, like,
Okay. In Italy, there is a village around 15,000 people. They made a crowdfunding project, and they installed a very big windmill. Wind turbine.
Wind turbine.
Yeah, wind turbine.
Wind turbine.
And now they basically unplugged their electricity grid, and they are just doing that on their own. So there are projects in many places that advocate autonomy and independency. It can be food, it can be anything. Because, for example, in Rome, I am also part of this urban farming. Okay, so that's also very Solarpъnk. Instead of shipping the goods from one place to the other of the world, we should go back to seasonality. We have things that were available at a certain time of the year, not every time. But these are the kind of concepts that are being removed due to mass consumerism and the idea of having everything at the real time.
Yeah. So, friends, I'm afraid our time is up. Hopefully, it has been interesting. I can talk for hours. I can talk for hours about this. Last call, Niki Pev, Joro. Balshu, do you want to have some final word on Solarpъnk? Okay.
Just basically, you mentioned every single word of the book. Can you please tell us in short why the book is so important? What are the main themes? What we can take from the book? What are the type of ideas that?
Thank you. So the anthology is a collection of short stories coming from many different countries. That's the original concept of future fiction. So the future doesn't come from one single source. It comes from different continents, and it creates this idea of a widespread pattern of possible solutions. So it's about climate change, which is a very big issue. It's about empowering local communities with the technology that they can use. It's about resisting bad capitalism. So it's a set of local solutions that can be applied in the near future or the long future. For example, the story that I wrote is about the immigrants that are coming, crossing the Mediterranean Sea and nobody cares about them. Okay? So when there's a Black Lives Matter killing or shooting, there's a huge media coverage. But when every single day there are people drowning in the Mediterranean, just goes, all right, I don't. So there's blackness and blackness. So in that case, I've created a Solarpъnk solution, terraforming an island in no man's land where people can live. Using, pattern of terraforming, like using polarization that the Dutch people, the Dutch engineers have created. So it's about climate migrations or political migrations and trying to find probable possible solutions. We know now that having a land of your own is a very big issue. So that's the kind of story that I'm
Okay, thank you very much. We can continue Solarpъnk discussions later with beer, with vodka, with no problem.